Now, here with me on this board are 10 tough questions that you're supposed to ask her or him before marrying. Don't just rush into it and get the marriage. And by the way, do you know what? Over 75% of the divorces that you're experiencing in this 21st century are contributed by the misunderstandings as far as the finance is concerned. So take precautions. And by the way, if you already into it, this video still applies to you, all right? And by the way, these points, I'm gonna be pointing them in random way so that you never know which one is coming next. So what does it mean? You want to watch this video to the end for you to grasp the maximum out of it. And by the way, guess what? This video, I'm not gonna charge you anything to watch it. It's for free. The only thing I want or need from you as a return of favor, all right? Instead of a cup of coffee, it's to just, you know what? Like this video. And also down below there on your right, there's a small button written subscribe. Just hit it. It doesn't cost you anything. Let's get into the business. Now, the point number one that you're supposed to understand or ask them is, what is your current financial situation? I know this one may sound a bit tough. It'd be like, okay, are you asking how much I have or something? Also, it may be a little bit of an uncomfortable question, but it's a question that you ought to ask. And guess what you're getting, or you want to get into this situation? Not how much they have or whether they are wealthy, rich, or poor, or however. You just want to understand, are you getting on board with somebody who is indebted? Somebody who has some other, by the way, and with all the due respect, you can get somebody who has some sort of, a commitment somewhere in terms of the money. For example, let's say somebody is suffering from a certain ailment, so they are committed somewhere. There's certain amount of money ought to be channeled towards that thing. So it's good to understand what is your current financial situation. Another thing is that, are you employed? Do you have a job? Okay, and all those kind of things. So it's good to understand their financial situation and ask this question in a very wise way. Don't make it look like as if you're gonna frame yourself like a person who is after money or something of sort. Ask in a concerned manner. Remember one thing: wisdom is an ultimate thing whenever it comes to marriage. Number two, do you have any? And by the way, after saying it, I'm gonna tick it out. Okay. Number two, do you have any financial obligation as far as your family members are concerned? All right. You can get into a board or on board with somebody who has a lot of financial obligations back at home. This guy is maybe the guy who is quote unquote blessed, or is the guy who is actually fortunate in the family. And then you find this individual like, hey, brothers, the sisters, the mother, the aunties, the uncles, like everyone depends on him or her. So it is good to understand, okay? So that at least once you come on board, you do not get on board with somebody who has a different views or different missions as opposed to you having a common goal. For example, let's say you get on board with somebody who is looking forward to building their parents a house. All right, so it seems as if like once you get on board, this individual is actually focused on building them a house, their house first than even yours. So if you are thinking about achieving your home as a nuclear family before you even do the parents one or something, so obviously you feel cheated. So it's always good to understand, hey, if you have any financial obligations as far as your family are concerned, do you educate them? Do you pay their school fees? Do you support them in one way or the other? And by the way, you doing so, does it deter you from achieving your goal? I mean, like, well, if you were to build their home, can you also build ours concurrently at the same time? Okay, fine. Do you maybe plan to buy them a car or something? Yeah, I saw a certain magazine somewhere in Kenya. Yeah, in Kenya, like somebody, I don't know, in Nigeria or something of sort. I mean, a person bought his mom a car before the wife or before the family, and there was wrangles in that specific family. Even the divorce came in and all those kind of things. So it's always good to make sure that as much as we do love our parents, we ought to support them and all those kind of things. So let's try not do something that can actually bring chaos inside of a family. So it's good to ask them, do you have any financial obligations? All right. And also it's good to ask this question. And by the way, would you mind sharing that information before you support your family members out there? Would you mind to share with me or something of so? If you agree, no, I won't, it's okay. You can get on board knowing, hey, they are not comfortable sharing that. You can get on board saying, hey, they are comfortable sharing that kind of information. All right, let's get into the next point. Next point is that, are you indebted? All right, okay. So are you indebted? Does it mean, do you have any debt out there? All right, it's good to understand. For example, you come on board. Anyway, by default, if you guys, you're graduate, you have, the national debt. Maybe you guys, you did go to university, you are paid all those. In Kenya, we call it help. I don't know what you call it in your country. And obviously, you have to pay them. So you have to ask, okay, apart from that, what else do you have in terms of a debt? Okay, you have a car. Is this car paid cash, or do you have some debts that you're servicing? Or maybe you bought a piece of land or a piece of property, or you're on mortgage. It's good to understand, are you indebted? And by the way, if this kind of a debt that you're having, is it a healthy one or unhealthy one? Meaning, like, are you comfortable servicing the debt? debt, or are you at a situation whereby we say, hey, you're found in between a hard stone and rock or something of sort? You see, it's good to understand, are they indebted? Where are they? Are they comfortable servicing that debt and all those kind of things? Okay, now that's point number 3. The point number 4, how do you handle financial stress and unexpected expenses? Okay, how do you handle financial stress and unexpected expenses? Now, you see, it is good to get on board with somebody who do not sort of panic or sort of develop anxiety or something of sort. For example, you can get yourself into financial stress. Maybe you're facing a cash crunch. For example, I love borrowing this example because probably if you're watching this video, you know what is COVID-19. All right. So one thing, a lot of people got fired, and if not fired, then there was a reduction of salaries and all those kind of things. Okay. Therefore, it means there was sort of a cash crunch or something of sort. So at that particular situation, who are you getting on board with? Is it an individual who can understand how the situation is moving along and how can they handle this specific thing? Okay, what do they have in terms of preparation in case of such a thing arises? Do they have emergency fund? And by the way, how do they view emergency fund? Okay, like, okay, do they understand the situation, like you can get fired or something of sort? And if you get fired, how do you, all those kind of questions you ought to ask them. So can you imagine this, getting on board with somebody who maybe perhaps married you cause of money or cause of properties or something of sort, and then all of a sudden something shows up in the family because, hey, this is wild and this is life. We usually say the most expected thing about life, the most predictable thing about life, it's unpredictability. Okay, so it's good to make sure that you understand whom you're getting on board with. How can they handle such a situation? Can they be comfortable? Can they go ahead and do all those kind of things? Okay, let's get to the next one. Now, the next one is that how do you feel about budgeting? This is a very essential question that you ought to ask them. How do you feel about budgeting? Okay, what is it to you? Do you budget by yourself? Because let me tell you one secret. There's no way you can tell me, hey, I'll start being cautious on how I spend my money. I'll start budgeting once I get married. I'll start budgeting once I get, more responsibilities in terms of kids and what have you. Let me tell you one secret. Nothing like that. Remember one thing, and never forget these words. Never forget this word that I'm about to say. A man is always a product of a boy he was, and a woman is always a product of a girl she was. So don't tell me you're going to behave in a very, sort of way different than way you used to behave. See, how you're behaving right now when you do not have much of the responsibilities on top of you, it's sort of a reflection of exactly how you're going to carry yourself. Unless sort of a miracle happens in between, unless you get to learn a lesson in a very hard way, that's the only way that you can actually adjust and change your life. And you can just imagine if you happen to learn that hard lesson with this kind of an individual at the same time. So it's kind of quite rough. So understand, hey, do they budget? Sometimes, I know, while you may feel good when they take you out, when you go to grab those coffees, when you're enjoying yourself, when you're dating and all those kind of things, it is good to understand, while we are enjoying, that this guy appear responsible, that this girl actually sometimes caution me like, hey, why are we grabbing this Starbucks coffee like each and every time? Why are we grabbing this Louis Vuitton and all those Versace? With all the due respect to those big and wonderful companies, we love them, but hey, we are doing all those kind of things. Okay, fine, that's no problem with that. We are being happy, I love it, ding ding ding, no problem. But again, well, how does our future look like? Okay, fine, what if we happen to bring kids on board? Like, can this guy be responsible in bringing up the kids? Okay, fine, their life is not about eating, dressing and all those. Like, can we create properties? Can we invest? Can we progress to the next level? As much as, it's good to understand, do they budget? And let me tell you one secret. By the way, asking these tough questions, don't think it's an easy thing. Some of them can actually lead to you separating in terms of, whether you are dating, or it can actually, if after all you're getting on board with somebody who does not understand, it's good, this question be asked before you get on board. Apart from you asking them, hey, do you love me, and all those kind of things, ask these questions, okay? And we are on point number 6 now, all right? Let's get to the next point. The next point is that, what is your take on investments? What do you think about investments? What is your take on them? Because, hey, there's some people who don't even believe in investments. There are people who are just out there. They just want to throw a party. They just want to be happy. They don't care about where and how to invest. After all, they feel secured, safe whenever they have a job. They know at the end of the week, at the end of the day, at the end of the month, they get the salary. So they're good to go. They don't even feel themselves they should be bothered in one way or the other. So it's good to ask them, hey, how do you feel about investments? And by the way, be very careful when asking this question, because you might not get the correct information. Why? I have, let's say, limited number of people I've ever interacted with them who tells you like they don't want to invest. Only some few individuals who told me they don't love businesses. They just love being employed. But there are some crazy people who are out there. They speak big. They talk big. They tell you, hey, I want to invest. I want to do this. I want to. Hey, guess what? They like have everything on their hands as far as their blueprint is concerned. They would like to be a beast. But the moment it comes to them being a beast, whenever it comes to them actualizing what they say, you totally find two different people. So not be very careful whenever they are answering this question. They can build your heaven on earth. They can actually promise you like I don't know what. And by the way, I always tell people whenever you are in love, be very careful whatever you are told, because I don't know whether it's an IQ reduces when you're in love, you don't kind of think, or I don't know what exactly happens. It's like they usually say like love is blind, but marriage is really an eye opener. I don't know whether you know that, guys. So it is good to be careful when they're answering this question. They can tell you heaven on earth. They can tell you how prepared they are. You see, those big dreams that you're telling somebody, it's actually reflected by simple things that you usually do in your house. Like, for example, if someone tells you, like, I do budgeting, I want to invest because this is what I'm doing. Just look at the way they handle their house. Do they even organize? Do they even spread their bed? Do they even sort of clean? Are they clean? Are they responsible? How do they talk? Do they mind what they say? Whom do they relate with? Are those who guys they relate with? Have they invested? Who are their friends? Where does he come from? How does the background look like? Okay, he has been employed for the last 2-3 years. What has he achieved? Don't just rely on what you're being told. Look at what surrounds that individual. That way, you can be able to relate what they're telling you and what they're doing. They may not have what exactly they say they're going to do, but at least by what they're doing now can actually give you a hint of how it will be in future. I hope I made sense on that. All right, let's go to point number 7. The point number 7 is that how much financial independence do you need once we get married? You see, it's good to ask this question because, hey, there are some people who say, hey, guess what? My money is my money, your money is our money, or each and everyone's money by themselves. And by the way, I would like to split the bills. I would like to go the 50-50 way. There's some ladies who would love that in this generation. Yeah. So it is good to understand that to what extent in terms of the financial freedom do they need? How much do they need? Like, you see, when I say financial freedom is, okay, fine, this is my money, all right? I don't have to disclose how much I make, all right? Okay, fine, we just come on board, like, how much are we paying? How much is our expenses? Like, talk of 10,000, 20,000, whichever the amount of number, throw a number out there, all right? Now, you ask them, okay, fine. Provided I found those numbers on the table, I put them on the table, don't care about how much I make, just forget about it. Okay, so you also need to understand that because you don't ask this question, you come on board, the guy is not revealing how much they're making, the lady does not even tell you how much they make, and sometimes and all the times you are kind of on the front all the time, you don't even know what's going on. It's good to ask, hey, are you comfortable sharing, how much you make or something of sort? Are you comfortable with the same? So it's good to understand. So if you want to, compartmentalize your individual earnings, you can compartmentalize that and others, you function like whenever you being paid bills, you bring money on board and you forget about each other's how much they're making. So good to bring on for those questions so that at least you understand, hey, these are the boundaries, this is not what to cross, because and by the way, nowadays I feel it's good to, before you actually get married, it's good to write some agreements down. It's good to sort of write those agreements down, and also things called the prenuptial agreement. And by the way, it's good to ask this question: what are their views on the prenuptial agreements? Okay, and can they take it, and how they view it, and all those kind of things. Okay. Now let's get to the point number 8. The point, is it number 8 or number 9? Number 8 actually. Number 9. Do you support frugality and minimalism? See, frugality is a situation whereby you find you survive on minimal things. All right? It's a situation whereby, hey, you sacrifice a lot, or you live below your means in the name of creating more surplus, which is savable for the sake of investing in future. How do they view it? For example, you can get on board with 2 different personalities. You can be a frugal individual and the other one is a spender. And I will repeat. What is a frugal person? A frugal person is the people who usually call stingy. There are people who usually call, you can miscall them mean, but they're not really mean. There are people who they may have money, but they don't even appear rich. They don't even believe in spending a lot of their money. That they just live in a very cool, low life, yet they have money. They don't like spending in those expensive things. So people call them stingy. Others people call them minimalist. Others call them frugal people, something of sort. Now, can you imagine you're a frugal person and then you get on board with somebody who is a spender? you're gonna rub shoulders. That's for sure. One understands the principle of sacrificing, creating the surplus, and investing. The other one, believes in the life of YOLO. You only live once. Life is short. It's good to throw parties. It's good to be happy, after all, and all those kind of things. They are spenders. So once you actually come on board, this person who is frugal will actually understand this person is like he's unwise or those kind of things. Or the other person who is actually a spender will actually view the frugal person like you're mean, you cannot even support your family members, you don't have time for all those kind of things. So it's good to understand how they perceive the frugality, whether they are spender and all those kind of things. Sometimes they may not tell you whether they are spenders. Others are honest, they can tell you, hey, I'm a spender, by the way. You got to know that as early as they can. I'm a spender. Another one, hey, guess what? I'm a frugal person. Then we ought to sort of provide a boundary on where not to cross as far as our marriage is concerned. The ninth point is that how would you handle a major financial windfall? This is a very good question. What would you do if today I win a lottery? What would you do? Yeah, how can you exactly handle that? Sometimes it's good to throw this question. May appear as if it doesn't make sense, but it helps you to grow much from an individual. What if I give you $1 million today? What would you do with it? How would they behave? See, that's what they give you first. That's what they have been thinking about. Some will tell you, hey, guess what? First thing, I'll build my mom's house. Second thing, I will actually throw. That's the truth. That's the truth. Even if later they try to twist and whatever, there's something called the Freudian slip. That's the truth. That's their real personalities, okay? And this windfall can actually be on positive or negative way. What if? But that's one I've actually answered on my previous text. So anyway, the point is, okay, what will happen if today I go out there and get lucky and get a lot of money? How would you handle that? Ask that question. All right. The last one, but not the least, do you or do you not support the financial combination after the marriage? Would you prefer us combining our finances together? Me and you, we open that joint account as a husband and wife, as partners, however guys you call it. We open that joint account where we'll be keeping our money. How do you view about that? Maybe that one kind of sort of a repetition of what I said about the financial independence. But anyway, this is on a positive aspect. How do you view about that? Are you comfortable? Are you not comfortable? If they say they're not comfortable, so then don't act surprisingly in future if they tell you, hey, my money is my money, our money is my money, and all those kind of things, okay? So anyway, guys, guess what? That are my 10 tough questions you ought to ask an individual before marrying them, all right? Perhaps you are out there, you are couples, you'd like to get my services, grab my number on the description of this specific video. We can prepare a Google Meet session whereby we can have a discussion, or grab my email, you can shoot me an email, we can have the conversation. And by the way, my charges is quite affordable. Just for a cup of coffee, we get started. For now, it's a goodbye. Don't forget, I got my booklets about investments or different areas, shares or stocks, money market fund, treasury bills, bonds, and all those kind of things. My fellow Kenyans, grab that one. For now, it's a goodbye. See you in the next one.